concerts. My name is Sarah Neely, and I'm the president of CODA. We'd like to thank Dr. Bill Wakefield and the University of Oklahoma for hosting us for this wonderful event. The students in front of you have been working extremely hard for 2 days, and I think that you are in for a real treat for their concert. In the lobby, we will have photos, CDs, and DVDs which will record this event. Those are available for your purchase after the performance. With that in mind, we'd ask that you please silence all cell phones, pagers, 8-tracks, that sort of thing. As I said, the wind ensemble has been working incredibly hard this weekend, and it is my honor to introduce to you the chairperson for the 2014 CODA Wind Ensemble, Mr. Jim Myler.
Thank you. We'd like to start this afternoon by recognizing students who have been a member of the CODA organization for 6 years. I mean, they made it as 7th graders and all the way up through high school. We have 7 students in this ensemble that are 6-year members, and I'd ask them to stand. If you'll hold your applause to the end, we'll give them a big rousing group applause. Gabriel Scheifer from Western Heights, Catherine Story from Edmond North, Alicia Aguilar from Edmond Santa Fe, Emily Vallejo from Edmond Santa Fe, Zachary Simpson, Edmond North, Cooper Delafield from Edmond Santa Fe, and Josh Bartrug from Yukon. Would you please give them a big round? Quite an accomplishment to do this 6 years in a row. So my congratulations to you as well. Our clinician this afternoon is Dr. Eric Wilson. Dr. Wilson, as you can read in the program, is the director of bands at Baylor University. He's also a saxophonist and coordinates conducting at Baylor. When I walked in to get the band this afternoon to bring them down, I interrupted quite a philosophical discussion. So their experience this week has been more than just the notes on the page. So be sure to ask them about what they've done beyond just what you hear. Would you please welcome Eric Wilson and the CODA Wind Ensemble.
Thank you so much for your presence and for sharing your students, your loved ones with us. They have been remarkable. As you have heard from all three conductors, they have just been delights to work with. And I've been very honored to come up to I-35 to join you. And this has been a remarkable few days. Only 9 hours have we rehearsed, and we have over 30 minutes of music, and there's some very challenging songs. That was just one short 3-minute work, and it had a lot of notes in it. You probably heard that. But it's been remarkable how hard and detailed they have worked and how engaged and responsive. I've been so proud of them. We'll talk more about that. That was Wind Sprints by Richard Saucedo. We're going to bring a little bit of the South Texas border to you and play two movements from Frank Kelly's San Antonio Dances. The first one is entitled Alamo Garden. The second one is Tex-Mex on the Riverwalk. next piece we will perform is an arrangement of a choral piece, Grace Before Sleep, written by Susan Lamar, based upon a Sarah Teasdale poem. And this is an arrangement that I heard the Baylor A Cappella Chorus perform about a year and a half ago and thought this would really work well for wind bands. So I arranged this, we premiered it. It's only been played twice before down in Texas, and I told these guys that this is the Oklahoma premiere performance of this piece. So you're in exclusive company, so hope you enjoy it. Before we play this piece, I'm going to calm you down a little bit, and I want to read to you a portion of an article that I actually gave them an assignment to read. And they looked at me like, what? I thought we were out of school. But I asked them to read this article, and there's something very important that I thought I would share with you, because it helps to communicate the true power and essence of us as artists and musicians. And sometimes there are those that don't quite understand what we do or why we do. This address was written and given by a piano professor at Boston Conservatory to parents on the incoming freshmen several years ago, but I want to just read you a few sentences. If we were a medical school and you were here as a med student practicing appendectomies, you'd take your work very seriously, because you would imagine that some night at 2 a.m. someone is going to waltz into your emergency room and you're going to have to save their life. Well, my friends, someday at 8 p.m., someone's going to walk into your concert hall and bring you a mind that is confused, a heart that is overwhelmed, and a soul that is weary. Whether they go out whole again will depend partly on how well you do your craft. You're not here to become an entertainer, and you don't have to sell yourself. The truth is, you don't have anything to sell. Being a musician isn't about dispensing a product like selling used Chevys. I'm not an entertainer, he writes. I'm a lot closer to a paramedic, a firefighter, and a rescue worker. You're here to become a sort of therapist for the human soul, a spiritual version of a chiropractor, physical therapist, someone who works with our insides to see if they get things to line up, to see if we can come into harmony with ourselves and be healthy and happy and well. And I challenge them to find that pursuit, and we as musicians have an opportunity to do just that. And so I certainly hope for them, told them that they have a happy and healthy life, and I certainly wish the same for you. We hope that you enjoy our version, the Oklahoma premiere of Grace Before Sleep. say now for something completely different. This is Rollo Takes a Walk. This is not a serious piece. I'll tell you a little bit about Rollo. Rollo is a fictional character that was created by the great composer Charles Ives. And he used it in his musical writings to illustrate ultra-conservative musical tastes. Rollo may not know anything about music, but he knows what he likes, usually something too often played. So he goes on to say that the piece is intended as a good-humored, gentle parody of concerts in the park and of some bands in which the composer, David Maslanka, has played, where the tuning was less than perfect. So if they sound out of tune, it's supposed to be like that. Okay? So Charles Ives' music had quotes of Americana melodies. You'll hear a few of those. You'll also hear and see a few surprises. Here's Rollo Takes a Walk. Ask them to play their kazoo solo for you. Some of them are blowing into it instead of humming, singing. They've learned now how to do a kazoo. It's really awesome. Well, these next two pieces, the final ones, they kind of go together as a set, though they're not really related. We'll talk a little bit more about the commission. CODA organization is committed to new music, compositions that are written for young band, and I really applaud them for their efforts. Every other year they commission a composer to write an original composition for this very concert. And a colleague of mine at Baylor, Scott McAllister, was commissioned a couple years ago perhaps, and we're going to play Pop Copy. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that. But the second movement of that piece refers to a composition by well-known composer Percy Grainger, Molly on the Shore. And we're going to play that piece because you're going to hear quotes of that at the end of Pop Copy. And the second movement of Pop Copy is called Molly on the Floor. And we'll tell you more about what that references to. But that is kind of, in our profession, sometimes we'll say, are you guys going to play Molly on the Floor? And it's, of course, that's not the real title. It's Molly on the Shore. But now we can say there is a real title of a second movement of Pop Copy rated T called Molly on the Floor. Well, we're going to play Molly on the Shore by the great composer Percy Grainger, and then we'll help set up how that's going to come back for the last composition. So here is Percy Grainger's Molly on the Shore. parts and low reads. And most people spend weeks to prepare that. We had less than an hour on that one piece, I would suggest. So bravo, guys. Way to go. Way to pull that one off. It was awesome. Well, I'm going to introduce our guest composer, Dr. McAllister, and he's going to come and explain a little bit about this piece. Just as a backstory, in 2009, the Baylor Wind Ensemble premiered a piece that was entitled Pop Copy, and it referred to three pop cultural influences. The first movement was called More Cowbell from Saturday Night Live skit. Some of you have seen that. The second movement was called One Time at Band Camp, from a certain movie that you might not want to see your kids to see. But the third movement is entitled from the great Seinfeld episode Serenity Now. And some of you may remember those. And we premiered an original composition back at the National College Band Directors Conference in Austin, Texas. And it has been such a hit because of the great titles and also because of the music. But it's incredibly challenging. And so we were talking several months ago. Dr. McAllister lives directly across the street from my parents, and so we frequent that area of the neighborhood quite often, and we were over there talking. And so he was talking about this composition that we're going to premiere here. And he said, what if I were to write another pop copy, but just call it the teen version, rated T? I said, go for it. So he's going to tell you a little bit more about that. It's 3 movements. And again, this is the first time this piece has ever been premiered in the world. And again, thanks to CODA for their commitment and to their financial wherewithal to bring composers like Scott McAllister to the stage, and of course, all of his great work. So Dr. McAllister, please join us up here. We welcome him.
Inspiring for a composer to be asked and to be paid, especially. I had no idea when I was young I'd ever get paid to write music. But also thanks for Universal Oklahoma for allowing us on campus, even though we're Big 12 champs football. Thank you for allowing us here on stage. Might interrupt again, so. But this piece, like we were talking, I was trying to find a way. I have so many younger groups order my other pop copy piece, and it's just a lot of times a little too difficult to only do one movement. So I wanted to connect with this group, and I have a 15-year-old son, and a 12-year-old son, and a 20-month-old son. So my 15-year-old, I was talking with him because he's in band. He said, "What about something with Bieber, Justin Bieber?" And immediately I went, "Bieber Fever." Oh yes, this is it. And so the first movement is called Bieber Fever, and it's very similar to the other pop copy, More Cowbell. The More Cowbell movement in pop copy, the first pop copy, you have 4 cowbells surrounding the band, pretty much annoying everyone in the hall. And this version for Bieber Fever, I take the first 6 notes from his song Baby Baby, and you will hear I do sort of a Beethoven composition where you guys know Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. He takes those 4 notes and goes all over the place with them, and I try to do that in this composition also. So you hear all different forms and upside down and backwards and long and short. And then the second movement is called Molly on the Floor, like Dr. Wilson mentioned. And Molly is, it's a very sad dirge kind of piece. It's sort of a just don't do drugs for the kids. Molly's a new drug that's out in high school and colleges, and it's a very dangerous drug. And so I immediately thought that would be great. So I took that theme and I augmented the theme to be very, very slow compared to what you just heard. And it's all in a 6-part canon eventually. And then last movement's called Pop Bop, and it's famous. It's a popular dance that's came out from the breakdancing times in the inner cities of New York. And if you've ever seen people pop dance, they at a slower tempo. They use all their joints in their body. They pop their elbows and knees, and then at a certain moment, when they pop their chest, they go double time. So the tempo immediately speeds up double time. So you'll hear that in the third movement, and then I bring Bieber Fever back in, and Molly on the Floor back in the tune, also with the new pop theme at the very end. So you'll try to keep track of all that, but the most important people I want to thank on the stage are the students here for taking all the time, valuable time and effort, and very honored, and thank you so much for having me.
just before we play, I want to thank the CODA Executive Board. They're on the back of your program. I hope you will look at their names and thank them if you know them for all that they do for this area, for music education. I want to thank you for the hours upon hours of driving and shelling out money and buying instruments, giving them lunch money for when they do things like this, for picking them up at 2 a.m. after football games. And we know the incredible sacrifice that you make. Students, will you thank these people for what they do for you? So thank you so much. Thank you for your presence, and I know a number of you are here to support these, but if you're just here to listen to the concert and you don't have a loved one up here, thank you again for staying. I do want to thank Jim Myler for his organization of this group from Norman High School. He's been incredible to work with, emailing for several months now, making sure that all the details have been arranged, and so I'm very grateful for them. We want to thank Susan Babcock, our fine pianist, to fill in, and we were grateful that she's joining us. Those pieces can be played without piano, and so we're very grateful. You know, Dr. McAllister mentioned the competitive spirit that we have in the Big 12, and certainly on the athletic field or court that exists. But I want to tell you that in the band world and in the music world, we're like family, and our profession is very tight-knit. And I have a dear friend in Dr. Wakefield, and am supportive and certainly respect what he does here at OU. And interestingly enough, I'm having dinner with the Oklahoma State Director of Bands. So this evening, this is a very small community. And I want to thank all of the directors and private teachers of these fine students for what you do every day. It's an exhausting job. We know the pay scale is not what it should be, but you give and give and give, and you sacrifice for the good of these students. And we appreciate your sacrifice and what you do for these students and for these families. So I want to thank the directors that I've gotten to meet. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for your hospitality, even from a guy from the other school that's green and gold. And so it's been great fun. Again, Pop Copy Rated T, 3 movements: Fever, Fever, Molly on the floor, Pop Pop. Thank you again for coming, and we'll do a photo after that.